We are ready. Hi, I'm John Noser. This is Board Game Geek TV. We're coming from Gen Con 2013. I'm with Colby Dowk from Plaid Hat Games. We're going to take a look at BioShock Infinite. What's the subtitle?
The Siege of Columbia.
Siege of Columbia. So tell us a little about this game. This has been there's a lot of buzz on this.
So, BioShock Infinite is a video game. It's one of the highest rated video games of all time. It came out last March, and it is sold over 4 million copies since then.
Wow.
And it is just a beloved property. It's super well written. It's a rich universe. You are in the floating city of Columbia, and in that game, you're playing the role of Booker DeWitt, and you, in this game, you are playing the warring factions of that video game, which are the founders, who are kind of the entrenched faction, the builders of Columbia, and the Vox Populi, who are the working class that are rising up against unfair wages and that kind of thing.
A little class warfare.
Right. So in this game, you get to play as the role of the founders of Vox Populi. And it's got all these cool little minis, all sorts of. There's Booker DeWitt right there. Here's Elizabeth. We've got an airship. We've got some champions and heroes, and there's the Songbird miniature. So there's all these miniatures, and they end up placed all over the board as your controlling area.
Okay.
Your controlling area for victory points. These cards will come out every round as well, and they will give you objectives that you can claim.
Okay.
If you claim them, your opponent can't. Yeah, you're trying to control area. You're trying to gain victory points. You first to 10 wins.
Okay.
So it's different amounts of area or different victory points, and that's all delineated there on the board. One of the main functions you're going to do that, you're going to end up in combat with other players.
Okay.
And that's going to get you to roll all these cool dice here. And
custom dice, gotta love them.
You'll also play cards into combat for their combat value, but you'll notice there's 2 other values on there. There's an influence value and a money value there.
Okay.
So cards, you get 5 of them each turn, but you can only use them for one of their attributes. And so you have to choose, am I going to use this in combat? Do I want to use this right now to influence this vote in my favor? Do I want to use this to gain money so I can build new troops or maybe a structure? There's all these cards, and they all have special abilities, but you'll notice that some of them are locked.
Okay.
And that is because, excuse me.
Going back down to the box to gain something else that's cool.
That's because there's this whole unlock and upgrade system in the game. So every time you do one of these 4 things here,
win in combat, purchase an upgrade for $3, become the first player, or claim a victory point card.
Correct. You get to make an upgrade, and that can be unlock an ability on your card, and that'll unlock for every copy of that card in your deck.
So then whatever the text is on the bottom of the card, you'll be able to use that though.
That's correct. Or you can upgrade one of the 3 stats on that card.
Oh, okay.
Or you could upgrade it a second time.
Okay.
And so instead of deck building, you're deck customizing. The deck that's already there,
and you're just making the cards better
to your flavor. And then you'll run through the deck once or twice throughout the game. And then and this is kind of the card that tells you everything you need to know. Each of the players gets one of those. And then there's this Elizabeth timeline card, and that kind of tells her story. There are these leader cards that you get, and you'll recognize some of these, like a Daisy Fitzroy or a Cornelia Slate, if you've played the video game.
So run me a little bit through a turn. Like, how does a turn work? How's the flow of the play?
So at the beginning of each round, one of these event cards is going to come out, and you're going to end up voting on that using the influence value on your hand of cards.
Okay.
And you're going to choose how many you're going to.
So you can play more than one card at that time.
That's correct. And you will also follow some of the instructions on this card. Like, it might have a Booker symbol, and that means Booker's aggressive. So when he moves to space 12, he's going to fight what's there. Or if you move into the space with him, you'll fight. Or you might have an Elizabeth icon, and that means that the Elizabeth track is going to move, and that's going to reveal part of her story. It's going to have some kind of impact on Columbia. So you'll end up voting, and then you'll resolve the effects of the card if the card passed. And so you're either voting to pass it or fail it, depending on if it's good or bad for you.
Okay, of course.
And then you're going on, you're resolving all of its little effects, and then it becomes the player's turn. And then they can drop the cards for money, they gain money, and then they can build new units, bring units out on the board, and they all have a cost. depending on how strong or weak they are.
Okay.
And then you are moving after that. You can move any 4 units. And moving is actually one of the really cool things in this game, because you can either move a unit to an adjacent space.
Okay.
And
that's
like
shown by
most
these
area
yellow
control
arrows?
type war games, yeah.
Okay, these yellow arrows.
Or, and this is kind of one of the unique parts of this game, is you can jump on the skyline, and that lets you move as many spaces as you want throughout the board, but it comes at a risk. Every time I move one of these spaces, I take the 3 skyline dice, I roll those guys. If I show only numbers, I have to discard that many cards from my hand.
Okay,
or
just cards, or is there a value?
cards,
Okay.
just a card. Or the guy moving falls to his death.
Oh.
As long as I get at least 1 thumbs up on those, though, then he's
what's
safe.
the percentage of that?
You're
2 and 1 and 3.
per die, and I only need 1 thumb up.
Okay.
So
you were very unlucky there.
I was, yeah. and the most unlucky you can be is losing 3 cards. So, yeah, that's one of the risk management elements of the game.
So you have the safe arrow movement, or you can take the skyline to get really fast
to get to like where they're weak, or maybe an objective came out that said destroy the leader, and they foolishly left their leader by himself at the Bank of the Prophet. So all my guys are down here, and I'm going to try to swing somebody in to take him out.
Okay, so there's definitely a war game feel to it, area control feel to it.
Sure.
You got events. What happens do you go right into combat when you move into an opponent territory, or how does that work?
Yeah, if you move in with an opponent, you're going to combat. If you move in with one of these markers and they start populated on the board, you'll reveal it, and you'll have to beat that combat value. And if you do, you get that many silver.
Wow. And that's going to be just how many cards you have in your hand?
It's cards and dice. So like every leader, every star-based figure rolls a red die. Every special, every circle base rolls a blue die. Every square base rolls a white die, and they all have various values. So the red's the strongest, and blue
you can have
white.
more than one person in space then.
Yeah, you can end up bringing in up to 4 guys, because you can move 4 guys, and then you roll for them. I mean, this is a bad example because I have mixes of factions here, but you get the idea.
If let's say I had this situation, and I'm like, I don't think those 2 people are going to be able to beat this. Can I move this in, or once I flip this over, it's those 2 people against?
So you do all of your movement. So if this wasn't revealed, you'd do all your movement, and then once you declared you were done moving, you'd have to flip it.
So I have to decide, I'm done moving, and then flip it, and
but
I don't know what I'm beating.
But if I get defeated, one of my guys is destroyed. The rest of them move back to a stronghold I control, which is a structure which looks like this.
Okay.
So if I'm the Vox Populi, maybe that's my stronghold. If they, let's say these are the Vox Populi.
We have the Vox Populi right over there. We might as well get them.
So, and I lost this combat. I would choose one of the guys to be destroyed.
Yep.
The rest of them would move back to a stronghold I control.
Okay.
Okay. And then this would stay flipped up. So next time I know what I'm dealing with.
Okay. But your opponent knows exactly what they're dealing with, so they could deal with that
They
too.
could potentially move in.
So what's the difference between the dark red and the light red?
So the game is 2 or 4 player.
Okay.
So in the 2-player game, you use all the red and all the dark blue. And then in the 4-player game, you bring in new decks. There'll be a separate deck for each. You have like the light blue deck and the dark blue deck for each. And they're a team, and they're working together as the founders. And one of them's the light blue units, and one of them's the dark blue units.
Okay. Cool.
So that's kind of the thing there is you can play a 2-player game or a team game.
So how long does it normally take to play?
So it normally takes about an hour and a half.
Oh, that's not bad.
On a 2-player game. A 4-player game will be a little longer than that.
Okay, cool.
You play to 10 victory points, and that's it.
Our audience would like to know more info on other language releases.
So at this time, Irrational has not given me any information on what they want to do with other languages. They were hard at work on the DLC for the video game.
Okay.
So that'll be a discussion that we have in the future.
So you have no information at this time?
I have no information at this time.
Okay, fair enough. Any other questions? Expansions, twins.
The Lutis twins are not in this version of the game, and there are no current expansions in the work. But I wouldn't say that door is shut.
Okay, fair enough. Well, again, this is Colby Delk. This is BioShock Infinite. Thank you for showing it to us.
Thank you.
I hope you do. Actually, before we go, when is this going to be available?
This will be available at the end of August. It's available in shipping now from plaidhatgames.com. It'll be in retailers everywhere. I believe the street date is August 28th.
Well, thank you very much for showing the game to us.
Thank you.
Have a great day.